Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Knights. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie from another galaxy.
Yeah, from far away. Where this is the this is the quarantine cast, baby.
The Quarantine Wars.
Yeah, the quarantine wars, right?
Begun the Quarantine Wars have.
Yeah, something like that.
Something, yeah. This is episode 25.
I know, that's crazy.
Of Jedi Knights. We're coming to you in a different form. The form is the function now, I guess, if we want to say it like that.
It's like it's Zoom, but with just only two people.
Yeah. So entertaining.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also growing a quarantine beard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I can't really grow a beard, but I'm trying.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to shave today, so I do have a bit more than just the standard attempt at an Obi-Wan goatee going on right now.
I can't see you.
Yeah, so for the foreseeable future, for listeners of the show, viewers of the show, we should probably address what the future looks like right now before we dive into the content.
Right.
Because the original plan before what was going to be my senior spring break was
what was formerly known as
exactly
spring break.
So we said we were going to take 2 weeks off, right? We were taking 2 weeks off to watch a ton of Clone Wars and then come back the week after my spring break and just power through most of what was left for us.
Exactly. Right.
Within like 4 days of recording that episode, I found out I had to leave school and move back home because of everything going on in the world right now.
It's crazy because I feel like we absolutely had no idea that was going to happen. Like,
no, we didn't.
We had no idea like that. It's just crazy how fast everything changed.
Absolutely. It's even funnier because, well, it's not funny, but like Wednesday, the day the show released that week, I got a notification saying, hey, don't come back for 2 weeks after break. I was like, okay, cool. We talked about it. And then 2 days later, they were like, actually, don't come back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, all your classes are pass-fail, though. So
yeah, so I kind of won there. But
yeah.
Unfortunately, that means no studio access for us ever now. We're out of the studio now. I will be graduating and not returning, so this is how Jedi Knights is going to exist for the foreseeable future. Mike and I are still in the same state, so maybe in the future, if things return to normal, we can get back to meeting up once in a while for actual podcasts, but
I mean, I'd be down. That hopefully happens.
Yeah. As of right now, we're getting it this way. If you're not familiar with the other podcasts on Joy Clicks, the either podcast network or the YouTube channel, this is how we do most of our shows because I do all those other shows with people from all over the globe. So we're treating it like that. We're rolling with it. It's going to be a good time. But if you're returning, if you're wondering where the show was, happy to have you back. Also, Mike, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Everything's going good. Just working from home. So that's fun. But got to social distance. # flatten the curve, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Even if you're young, you're not invincible, right? So you got to take care of those around you, and stop going places. Mm-hmm. There are not many places to go, to be honest.
No. There's really not.
There really aren't any places to go.
I think this is funny because there was a point in time on this show where we talked about what was the wave. We didn't even know how big it was going to be because at one point the biggest worry was the Baby Yoda merch was getting delayed.
Yeah, exactly, right.
That was like a month ago.
Oh my God, the Baby Yoda merch, right?
Yeah. So, but here we are now, and that's basically the update for everything. If you want more detailed information, you can contact probably me on Twitter. I'll have more scheduling answers than Mike probably will in terms of what to expect. But so that is all the housekeeping, and I think it's time for our sanity to talk about Star Wars again after like a month.
Yeah, it hasn't been like legit a month. I feel like it has.
Yeah, it's felt like a very long time.
Yeah,
so
let's talk about Star Wars.
What we're gonna do this week, no opening segment, kind of, but we're doing an opening game.
Ooh.
And that's gonna take up a fair bit of discussion. So we're playing a game called Yub or Nub.
Like Yub is like the affirmative, and Nub is the.
Yes.
All right.
I'm glad you understand. So I have pulled some headlines that have been circulating the Star Wars sphere over the last couple weeks that we've missed. So we're going to say, I'm going to read the headline. You will say Yub or Nub. If you want to have a discussion about said headline, we can.
Okay.
If not, we can just move on to the next one. And I got like 6 here, so.
So if I want to talk about the headline, then I should say Yub. But if I say Nub, then are we still going to talk about the headline? Because like, what if I just don't like what the headline has to say? Like, what if?
Yeah. Please Yub or Nub responsibly. If it feels like something we can have a discussion about, we can.
All right. Fine.
If it's filler, which some of these might be filler, we could just be like, oh, cool.
All right.
And move on to the next one.
Sounds good.
So, first up. Apparently, there's rumors that Jamie Lee Curtis is joining Mandalorian Season 2.
I'm not really sure who Jamie Lee Curtis is, to be quite honest with you.
Did you ever see the seminal film Freaky Friday?
No.
Okay, did you ever see Halloween?
No.
Did you see Knives Out?
No, I actually have not.
Okay, what else was Jamie Lee Curtis in?
I'm sorry. I feel like I absolutely should know who this person is, but I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that's the discussion we have to have here. You know who Jamie Lee Curtis is.
All right, I'm just gonna look up a picture of her. Okay, I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Again, I was introduced to through Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan remake.
Oh, this lady. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I've seen her face before.
Activia, I think.
She's the Activia lady, right?
Yes. So her talent may be enlisted in Mandalorian Season 2. I guess you probably can't speak to her ability as an actor, which I would say she's good. She's good in the roles I've seen her in. But it seems like that could be a fun addition to the Mandalorian cast, as we've seen in Season 1, where someone what's his name? The SNL guy.
Wait, that's who?
The guy who played the Scout Trooper.
Oh,
Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis, yeah.
Yeah. I could see her being introduced or brought in on that kind of level of a glorified extra, you know?
Like comic relief in that way, or just an extra?
More just an extra, kind of like how Daniel Craig was in Force Awakens. Just kind of as this well-known person coming in as a character actor sort of for this couple scenes in this episode.
Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering how they're going to do The Mandalorian, if it's going to be similar to the first season. Each episode seemed like it could just stand on its own in a way. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering if Season 2 is going to have more of a through line plot. But
yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing, because the place it leaves off, it's kind of super open right now of is he gonna be actively looking for Baby Yoda's people? Is he going to be just training Baby Yoda? Is Baby Yoda going to have a name?
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
That's the through line. And then we still get sort of the same kind of format of not Monster of the Week kind of thing, but sort of the way we felt about it, which some people liked, some people didn't, as far as each episode felt like a side quest.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I'm wondering, if it's going to feel that way, or if it's going to be a little bit different, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we will see. And if Jamie Lee Curtis comes in, I could see her playing a role on that level of here's the odd person in the galaxy this episode. What do they have to do? And there were a few other people from TV series that have been rumored to be also cast. but she was definitely the name out of those. So,
all right. Sorry, I can't be a little bit more, you know,
it's all good.
Educated on the Jamie Lee Curtis news, but I feel unqualified to speak more on that.
I do know you're qualified to speak on this.
Okay.
Next headline. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker's digital release includes, and this is going to be on the Blu-ray as well, but the digital version is available now, a feature-length documentary about the film.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, my dad, I think, bought this and like shared the iTunes account with me so I can watch The Rise of Skywalker before it's on Disney Plus, and
Nice.
which is cool. But I have not had the opportunity to watch this, and I was like looking through it like on my laptop at home and saw this, and I was like, oh, word. But I do think it's actually on YouTube now. Not to, encourage piracy or anything like that, but it's like I believe it is. But I'm surprised if it still is there. But yeah.
So just the fact that there's a documentary for this film, are you feeling more yub or more nub? Because like I'm kind of split here. Because yub in that I love documentaries, especially documentaries about movies. Nub because I feel like in a feature-length documentary, whatever turmoil there was in this production is not going to be touched on.
No, I mean obviously not. It's something that Disney made like on their own. So there's no reason why they would put any sort of material in there that makes them look bad. That said, all documentaries made about movies like this, especially the Star Wars ones, they don't have a lot of controversy because they're studio made, but they have a lot of like cool details just about the production of the film, and I don't see why this isn't the same. Like I feel like it's probably pretty cool in that regard. Like I remember watching like the Revenge of the Sith like video featurettes like a lot, and those are cool. And if it's anything like that, I'm down.
Definitely, yeah. I watched the documentary for The Force Awakens, which was on that Blu-ray release, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it definitely took the angle of what's it like to have to bring back Star Wars, which I think is an interesting thing where they do address the drawbacks of that, but clearly Force Awakens really did not have any drawbacks in the grand scheme of this trilogy,
Right. But yeah, I'm feeling more yub on it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I get around to acquiring this release, if it's on Disney Plus or on iTunes, I'm watching the documentary first, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I need to watch. I did recently watch Rise of Skywalker. That was interesting. I feel like we should keep that for another time. But...
Sure, yeah, we can take a full episode about revisiting that if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in the documentary specifically.
Yeah, big yep.
Did we... Oh, well, you didn't pass judgment on the Jamie Lee Curtis story, because...
Yeah, no, I feel not qualified to give a yub or a nub on that.
How about a bub?
What's that?
I said, how about a bub?
Yeah, sure,
like,
a bub.
Like Wolverine.
You're
the classic line, bub.
Sorry,
I don't know, bub.
I don't know why that cut out for a second, but yes, bub.
Okay, yeah. Next story. Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is now available on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4. Might have already been on Xbox One. I don't know, but got a port, and it includes the multiplayer mode.
Yeah.
And funny enough, people on the Switch were accidentally matchmaking with PC players and being destroyed in the multiplayer because it was controller versus mouse and keyboard.
I only played Jedi Knight Jedi Outcast. Did you ever play that one?
So I really haven't played any of the Star Wars games from that era aside from like the opening hours of KOTOR 2.
Oh, really? So you skipped KOTOR 1.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That game rules.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as Outcast goes, Outcast got released around when we started the show, I think, in like October-ish, or late September.
Yeah, I remember it because I downloaded Jedi Outcast on my PC like around the same time. Like I know it's been on PC for a while, but like I downloaded it because it was like on sale at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time nostalgia for me on that one. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't think I'm gonna get Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy is interesting because like I didn't know it was a sequel to Outcast.
I thought Outcast was a sequel to Academy.
See, that's what I thought too, because there's the two in Outcast's title, but Jedi Knight 1 was a sequel to Star Wars Dark Forces, I think, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, because Kyle Katarn's in that one.
Yeah, it's very strange, but
I always thought Outcast was a sequel.
Yeah, I did too. That was why I was very thrown off by the fact that in Academy, Kyle Katarn is like your master, and you're training at Luke's temple, and you create a character. But if you were so interested, you can now play it on console.
We got to bring back Kyle Katarn, I think.
How do you think that happens through the inevitable Han, Luke, Leia show that you and I have talked about and theorized several times?
I think if they end up doing something like that, then it would be a lost opportunity for them to completely disregard Kyle Katarn. But at the same time, I can see Disney not wanting to do that just because they like to create their own stuff.
Mike, go with me here. What if this sequel series that we spent, I think that was the episode Jack was on with us, we just theorized about a new animated series. What if it's Luke's new academy, Ahsoka is there, and it's centralized on her and Kyle, so that way you're not relying super heavily on Han, Luke, Leia the way Clone Wars, I think, it has been shifting more focus to the original characters, and then we obviously saw Rebels do the same thing. But
I missed the first part of what you said.
So bring Kyle Katarn in as like a focal character, so it's him and Ahsoka help like running missions for Luke's new temple, pretty much.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that would be cool. Like Ahsoka finds Kyle Katarn on some base somewhere, and they get together and. Not romantically, but
yeah. Then
start like doing cool missions, and they run into Luke.
Yeah, that could be a cool way to introduce him. I think
that would be sweet.
Following up on Jedi Knight, we also learned that Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is getting some kind of remaster, and it's going to be coming to consoles and PC at a later date.
Nice. I don't think I've ever played this. I may have. I think they had a version for the Game Boy, if I am not mistaken.
Interesting. I mean,
I believe.
I'm sure they did, but it's definitely not the version that they're going back to.
Yeah, probably not.
I think the...
Yeah. Did you ever play the Starfighter game?
Jedi Starfighter?
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you think about that?
Pretty good.
Yeah, but I didn't mean to get off topic, but...
No, I mean, that era did have so many Star Wars games, and the PS4, I know, because that's where I play the majority of my games. PS4 has some of them. They have Jedi Starfighter, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and one other that I'm blanking on. But seeing them get Episode 1 Racer is cool. I played back when I was a wee lad that went to the Boys and Girls Club in middle school. Or elementary school, I forget when. They had a game room with an N64 in Episode 1 Racer, and that was like one of the 4 games you could pop in.
I remember that game. That game was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, seeing it get a remaster would be nice, because I feel like Star Wars fans always want pod racing to come back in some way.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably the saving grace of that movie, to be quite honest.
it's definitely one of the few good things.
For sure.
So,
Big Yub.
Big Yub, yeah, I agree. Big Yub. Also, Big Yub, both of those games giving me a big Yub for the potential of maybe bringing classic Battlefront 2 to consoles. Or at least just the Switch.
The Switch? Oh, wow. If Battlefront 2 was on the Switch, that would be a game changer, to be quite honest.
Right?
Yeah.
They clearly can't run the DICE Battlefront 2, but we see Jedi Academy specifically coming in with a multiplayer mode that looks like Battlefront 2, just mostly lightsabers. So, I don't know what's stopping them.
Yeah, I don't either. I think Battlefront 2 on the Switch is a really good idea. They could probably make it look pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
I also think they could probably run Knights of the Old Republic on Switch. They should just put that on there.
Yeah, this is the second, and then Racer is going to be the third game that's going to be on Switch, so I feel like the trend is going to continue.
Yeah, that's good to know. I've been contemplating buying a Switch recently, so this just makes it better.
Man, it's real worth it.
I know,
but
don't tempt me.
One last video game headline to close out Yubber Nub, the inaugural session of the Yubber Nub.
Okay.
Star Wars 1313. There was a screenshot that leaked. I don't know if you saw this.
I'm not sure if I did.
It confirmed what had been rumored forever. The main character of this game was Boba Fett.
Nub. Nub.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Nub right out of here. Scrap this and give us a Mando game.
I think that's even a nub for me. I don't want to see that.
Interesting. Okay.
You'd seriously want to see a video game about the Mandalorian?
I don't know if I'd want to see a game about the Mandalorian specifically, Din Djarin. I would want to see a game with a Mandalorian with a similar vibe, maybe different era if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
But the screenshot was cool though because it showed him standing on like a balcony that overlooked. It was probably layer 1313 of Coruscant. You could see like the skybox was cool because it had an opening in the center of it that showed light, which was the upper levels of Coruscant, which looked very nice. There was a HUD that showed like weapons and basically normal interface you would see in a third-person action game. But yeah,
pretty cool. I mean, it's a shame that like there are so many Star Wars video games that are canceled, and that will like basically never return. Most notably for me, the Darth Maul game that like had actual renderings and like there was like a functioning demo of it almost.
Yeah. And
that just makes me sad that never went anywhere. But
yeah, I agree. And hey, maybe like we've heard reports that EA's been kicking around like the corpses of these Star Wars games to try and retool them. So like maybe there's a chance that it gets picked up one day and then retooled into a new version. But
we should get Knights of the Old Republic 3. I think that's what we need.
That would be very cool.
Or just Knights of the Old Republic 1.
I'm sure that IP is not dead. So the biggest story I wanted to save for a legit discussion, not just a yub or nub, because this is way bigger than a yub or a nub.
But we should still give it a yub or a nub.
Oh, I'm giving it a yub already.
Well, I don't know what it is, so you gotta give me something.
All right. So back in February, we heard that there were rumors that Mandalorian Season 2 was going to be including, quote, familiar Star Wars characters.
Mm-hmm.
On the show, we speculated what that could mean. There was a rumor that Janina Gavankar would be coming to reprise her role as Iden Versio from Battlefront 2's campaign. You and I discussed maybe Donald Glover coming back as Lando post Episode 6.
Which would have been very cool, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's nothing to say that either of those things still can't happen. But a couple weeks ago, we got a rumor that is most definitely the familiar Star Wars character that was alluded to a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
that rumor said that Ahsoka Tano is going to be brought into live action for season 2 of The Mandalorian, and none other than Rosario Dawson would be playing Ahsoka in live action for Mando. Thoughts?
Cory Booker's girlfriend and Eric Andre's girlfriend, which are like the two most diametrically opposed people of all time, playing Ahsoka Tano. That sounds pretty cool to me, honestly. She's already got some dark side with her relationships in real life and her light side in relationships in real life. No, I'm just kidding. No, it sounds pretty cool. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
She was pretty sweet on Daredevil.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna draw it to. That's my main point of knowledge for her. She played the night nurse in the Defenders Netflix universe, and I thought she did a great job. I think she fits TV well, especially for like that dramatic character acting. So, and I guess she's like a big fan because apparently she's been campaigning to be cast as Ahsoka for a long time.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Can you imagine like her and Cory Booker watching the Clone Wars together?
Oh my god. That didn't even cross my mind.
You know it must have happened at like one point or the other.
Oh yeah.
Especially now, if she's gonna actually play Ahsoka. I know it's like a rumor and everything, but
well, if you want to trust Deadline, which I might, they confirmed it. They said, our sources have confirmed with us, yes, this is happening. It's official. It's getting announced at some point this year.
I think she would be a great Ahsoka Tano, to be honest. So I don't, and I think it's like good casting, like too good for it to be like not a rumor, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like they would have debunked it if it was.
Yeah, and like, it's weird because sometimes contractually you can't say anything even if it's not true. So we really don't know until it happens. But considering just the hype around it, the fact that Deadline, who I feel like Deadline's pretty on top of it when it comes to stories like this.
Yeah.
I believe it. And we have more quote unquote evidence as to explain why this is actually happening. So someone sent this to me. I can fact check it again, but apparently Favreau posted either a Twitter header or something of art of Ahsoka and Rex on maybe dewbacks or something. They were in like desert cloaks and ponchos.
Yeah, no, it was Dave Filoni's Twitter header actually.
Okay, Filoni, thank you.
Yeah, and they looked like wolves of some sort. Like they looked like they were on wolves.
Okay, that's
whatever
cool.
That means.
Well, Filoni's a wolf man, is he not?
Yeah, that or like a loth cat.
Doesn't he like the wolves he used? He put him in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think like they follow people around and stuff.
Yeah. So the thing that struck me the most about this concept art, I don't know if you're gonna, or this art, I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this.
Sure.
It looks exactly like Mandalorian concept art that we've seen on Instagram, that we've seen in the end credits for every episode. It looks like it's the exact same artist and their style, like adapting these characters for this universe or for this on-screen take.
Yeah, it looks exactly like whatever's at the end of every Mandalorian episode. You're definitely right on that. I didn't even consider that. I just like he probably can't confirm it. You know, you got Mickey Mouse up in that big tower, probably just being like, "You can't confirm anything until we tell you to." So he tried to. Yeah, thanks. He tried to find his own way to do it, and I think that's partially. It's 99.9% confirmed, guys. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and like I get that aspect of it too, of like doing what you can, because Ahsoka and Rex are like his babies. So getting that announcement stolen from him, I guess, would probably sting a little bit. So like doing this as like a shadow confirmation, I can totally see that.
Yeah, for sure.
He probably got a stern look from somebody for doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure George thought it was funny. I'm sure he egged him on.
Probably. This is a huge yub for me, to be honest. Yeah. I always wanted to see a live action Ahsoka Tano, and now look where we've gone.
Exactly, yeah. And through our watch of the Clone Wars series, I've just wanted even more to see Ahsoka get more exploration. And I know that she gets some of that in Rebels, but as far as I know, that was like at least halfway through that show, and it wasn't really a spotlight on her as much as it is in Clone Wars. So I'm assuming the way they treat her in Mando is going to be similar to what I'm assuming it is in Rebels. But there's also rumors, Mike.
Oh, wow.
That this inclusion of Ahsoka in Mandalorian is going to act as a sort of, I forget the proper term for it, but like a backdoor pilot for an Ahsoka series.
Why do they even need to do that? I'm totally down already. They don't need to do any. They don't need to gauge my reaction on this whatsoever. It's just
you know what? I actually have a theory.
What's that?
I think they probably want to test it because as much as everybody loves Ahsoka, and Ahsoka is several people's like favorite Star Wars character, Star Wars, especially over the last like the Disney era, and I guess all time, they really have never centralized a story on an alien character as the protagonist. So there's probably some suit that's worried about that. And that was a big complaint that people had when Fallen Order was revealed. It was like, oh, just another white Star Wars Jedi. All right, because like we never experiment with any of the races, any of the species, anything like that. So I could see maybe them holding on the condition of Ahsoka can get a series because we know it's going to blow up, but we want to make sure it's received well.
I think that's a pretty valid theory. I would be surprised if they think that they wouldn't get an audience out of an Ahsoka series. I think that's kind of silly for them to think that would be the case. But
yeah, and I'm sure they recognize that. I think there's probably just like some weird hold off of like some higher up that's saying like, hey, test it first, because like TV shows do that all the time. Even like with the CW, this is the first thing that came to my mind, because they have like 20 DC shows.
True.
They always introduce the new show character in one of the shows that already has a huge audience to make sure it works. And then they get their series the next fall. So like I could see it happen maybe that way. I don't know. I'm not an executive.
No, me either. They also did that in Stranger Things too. They had like this whole episode about like,
oh right, yeah,
yeah, all the other 11s.
But I totally agree with you. The show is definitely gonna have an audience. I cannot wait. I think it's perfect casting. Ahsoka is on her way to be one of my favorite Star Wars characters now. Like definitely in the top 10.
Oh, she's in the top 10. I think she might be in the top 5. To be honest.
Yeah, she's getting there.
She's a pretty cool character.
Yeah, she's great. So,
the voice. Do you think the voice is definitely going to be different? That's going to be kind of like off-putting.
Yeah. So there's a conversation to have there too, because Ashley Eckstein, who voices Ahsoka, I've seen a lot of fans like kind of feel sorry for her because she brought the character to life and she is Ahsoka for so many people.
Yeah.
And I totally get that, and it does sting a little bit that it's like not her, because at the age Ahsoka should be in this era, like an adult woman can play Ahsoka at that time, like clearly if they're casting Rosario Dawson.
For sure. I mean, Ahsoka by that time is an adult woman.
Mm-hmm. And I get that, and I get the fan division there of like being excited for it versus feeling sorry for it. But I do think I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Ashley Eckstein's work not doing VO, so I don't know if like that would be too much of a hurdle for the crew, because like animation acting is totally different from performance capture, which is totally different from acting on a set. So like having that crossover, it might have not just made sense. I don't know if this was a studio call where they were like, we need a name, you know, like I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I think Rosario Dawson seems to like respect the character, which is important, and I think because she does, she's going to I'm not going to say like imitate, but try to like keep true to the way Ahsoka is, and I think there are elements of like how she speaks that like Rosario Dawson can emulate.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And Filoni's going to be involved, and I'm sure there's going to be some collaboration in that way that like is paying tribute to what Ashley's done and then making it her own for this new era of this character.
Yeah.
And I know it's not like the thing people would want, but I could totally see her Ashley Eckstein being brought in as like not an extra, but like a character in season 2, the way Anakin's voice actor was the rebel pilot on the episode where they broke into the prison ship.
Right.
So like I could see it do that way. Like Dave Filoni is clearly friends with her after working with her for so long, so I wouldn't be too upset just yet, but I get it.
Yeah. I get it too. And I think, like you said, I think you could still pay tribute to how Ashley Eckstein played the character, but also make it your own.
Totally. Well, speaking of Ahsoka, speaking of the Clone Wars, speaking of Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
We took some time in our time off. Was it time off? Because we had a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, we have a lot of... Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't really time... It was good time off.
Yeah. We watched a lot of the Clone Wars during our sabbatical.
Yeah, I don't even know... Where did we start?
So we started at... I think the episode was called Deception.
Oh, God. That's really far away.
Yeah, that was when Obi-Wan took a bullet, shaved his head.
Yep.
And that's where we started, and we finished off Season 5, Episode 9, the end of Ahsoka and the younglings fighting some pirates.
Absolutely. So how do you want to go through this?
So I think the best way is just to have a grand scheme general discussion about the highlights, what we enjoyed about this basically full season we watched.
Yeah, essentially.
And I think a good starting point is because we started midway through season 4 on our lineup, and we saw the conclusion of season 4, which brought Darth Maul back.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start there?
Are we just gonna skip the whole Obi-Wan Kenobi takes a polyjuice potion and like becomes somebody else?
I'm okay skipping that if you are.
Can I just make one point on that?
Sure.
Not to completely just derail the entire conversation, but I do enjoy how that arc showed very clearly Anakin's like the Jedi are like sowing the seeds of distrust in Anakin in that entire arc, because like they literally make him think that Obi-Wan's dead, and he just like goes crazy after that, which is like really interesting to watch. But to your point on Darth Maul, why did it take so long?
I don't know. I really don't. Was it a production thing? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
Did they want to save it so like people would just keep watching every week? Were ratings struggling? I don't know. But when Darth Maul returns, his brother Savage has been searching for him, and he finds him. They reunite, and Darth Maul So animated Darth Maul, I hadn't really had a ton of exposure to. I was familiar with the fact that he had robot legs, that he has a brother, and that he is voiced by Sam Witwer.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think in this arc alone, he gets like 2 different pairs of legs, right?
I think so, yeah.
I
And
find that funny.
yeah, it is kind of weird. um, I want to ask you, as somebody who also grew up with Darth Maul being the one and done villain, what's it been like for you
Right.
to like see him back and being fleshed out more?
I think it's really interesting, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most interesting part of it all is the way that he survived, and that was just like purely on his absolute hatred for Obi-Wan. And I think that that's like the most fitting way
Yeah.
to make him, like, to keep him alive in like a very strange, weird Star Wars way.
Yeah.
And I think it works really well. And it's really cool to see him like completely broken when Savage first finds him on that like trash planet thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm overall into it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a yub. I agree. It was weird a little bit at first because like it feels like it's the same character, but it feels like a different take. Like it feels like they hit the reset, kind of.
I don't think so at all because he didn't really have any character to begin with.
I think that's why.
Yeah, it might be
Because
why.
because in Phantom Menace, he was just like he was just the weapon, pretty much, you know.
Basically.
And he had, "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi." That was his line.
Yeah,
you know?
at last we will have our revenge.
And he seemed like just an obedient apprentice Sith that's point me in the direction and I'll destroy everything in my path, but I'm gonna be calm about it.
Exactly.
And I guess like a decade of just loathing Obi-Wan Kenobi will transform a person.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely feels like, hey, what if we made Darth Maul but gave him character now? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like they essentially just had a blank slate. They can kind of just do whatever they wanted. If they found a reasonable way to bring him back from the dead, which I believe they did, they really could have just done whatever they wanted with him because he didn't have any character to begin with. And that's
For sure.
I agree. That's why it makes it feel like a reset. But
Yeah.
the
I
character,
don't think that's bad. It was just jarring a little bit at first.
yeah, totally. I mean, it's also weird because you kind of see him go from like the lowest point of Darth Maul's life to like a guy who actually has his like act together a little bit, which is crazy. That happened in like one episode. I don't know how that. I feel like if you're stuck there with no legs for 10 years, you're going to be pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Also, how did he get there? Like, from Naboo?
Maybe if you want to like break the tension of Phantom Menace, maybe they were just in a trash room when the Qui-Gon died.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
He just fell down a giant trash chute and into like a dumpster, and that space dumpster flew off to this trash planet.
Yeah.
And just dumped it there.
You'd think Darth Maul was big dead after Obi-Wan cuts him in half. But I guess in Star Wars, if you're dead, you're not actually dead.
No one's ever really gone, Mike.
God damn.
But how do you like his back and forth with Savage? Because I feel like that's also a focal point of his character right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he just like doesn't care about Savage at all, and it's so obvious that he's like manipulating him, and even the whole like I'm the master and you're the apprentice thing was like really telling of like his true motivations, and like he would easily just cast Savage off to the side.
Yeah, I agree, and I like that actually, because like if it was just two brothers scheming, I don't think I'd be into that as much as like Darth Maul showing that he has like intelligence outside of the physical training that we saw in episode 1.
Yeah.
Because like training under Palpatine, even if he was just a pawn, he was trained for a long ass time. So I would have hoped some of the Palpatine like scheming would have just like rubbed off on him, and it looks like it has.
Yeah, I think Palpatine would have considered Darth Maul a failure if you didn't teach him any of his scheming.
Oh, for sure. So it's very nice to see that in action, and I'm eager to catch up to where Clone Wars is heading, because I'm excited to see what Darth Maul has to do at that point.
Same.
So, Maul's character at the end of season 4 and leading into season 5 was definitely an interesting point for me, because I knew he was brought back in Clone Wars.
Right.
But I feel like also in a lot of the episodes we watched, especially the latter few, I don't know if you want to jump around at all or have anything you want to bring up, but
are you talking? Do you want to talk about the first, or what do you what do you want to discuss?
So my main thing, I think, with all the episodes we watched is just how much I saw Ahsoka continue her character path, and what we've talked about so far with Maul. So if there's anything specifically that you want to touch on that isn't related to either of those things.
No, I think because like I was thinking we could just talk about the next 2 arcs, and that's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I what do you want to say about Ahsoka? I mean, like, it's just been so Ahsoka heavy, like the first 2 arcs of season 5.
Yeah. It's been nice because I forget when I think it was the last episode, the last batch we watched before the break, where it felt like we weren't really with Ahsoka much outside of the Chewbacca episode.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing her get the spotlight in this way has been nice, because it's sort of emphasizing the skills she's learned from Anakin, showing how she's grown as her own Jedi, and seeing her take on the role that she's going to be inheriting from the Jedi, I guess.
Right. Well, I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, she's becoming definitely something more militarily.
Yeah, and it's nice to see her in that leadership role again, because like I think it's worth bringing up also that we're still following our abridged guide.
Right, of course.
So there may have been episodes where she was doing this before, but it felt like it had been a while since we got to see Ahsoka fully on the battlefield in the capacity that she was in, say, the episode where she had like her full squad die that she was leading in that space battle.
Right. That was like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
So like, and from then on, I don't think we had much like Ahsoka being a leader in that sense.
Yeah, we did have the Hunger Games arc, where we got to see her sort of take a few steps into that role as a leader, but not in the extent that we had in these last 2 arcs, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, it seems as though season 5 is like very much Ahsoka centric.
I would hope so, because I've heard that season 6 is Ahsoka light.
Well, I heard season 6 does not have Ahsoka at all.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So
it is great to see her fully being fleshed out in the final stretch of this show before we get caught up. And I think it puts her in an interesting spot where, again, we don't necessarily officially in our watch along know how her arc leaves off, but it's definitely one of the more interesting character arcs of this whole show, because I think with like someone like Obi-Wan or like Anakin, you get to see them in a light that we don't see in the films, as far as them being commanders or really close with each other. But Ahsoka, again, I feel like is the central point, because it's no, I wouldn't say it's her story, but like she's the new character. She's what's new about this, and she's what's being explored the most and gaining the most, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I do you know what happens to her?
I'm familiar with the choice she makes, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So,
like with that in mind, like it's so hard for me to like make comments on this because I've been spoiled. Like I know what happens, you know.
mm. I mean, you started with Rebels, so this is like a prequel for you.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Mm-hmm.
even with like Maul, like I know more about Maul because I've watched Rebels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool to see her in like a leadership role. I really think that the first arc of the fifth season is one of the best Clone Wars that we've watched. To be honest,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
she's starting along with Anakin, like you know, distrust with the Jedi Order and like
Mm-hmm.
questioning of like their methods and their uses and are they using Ahsoka, and like that's just it's interesting that like it's actually getting a little bit more nuanced in its critique of the Jedi.
Totally, yeah. And again, I don't know why it's still surprising me that this show is exploring those questions, but I think with the seeds they planted in like maybe season 3 at this point, just the idea that Ahsoka is like very similar to Anakin and seeing the parallel path she's walking with him
Mm-hmm.
not only makes her super interesting, but I think also still fleshes out Anakin indirectly, as far as why he made those choices versus why she made her choices.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's great to see.
it is pretty cool, honestly. And the first arc of season 5, did you think it was like super dark? I thought it was like really, really dark.
I thought it was one of the darker ones. I wouldn't say it's like darker than the Krell one, but I think it's like less cartoony than the Krell one.
It's definitely less cartoony than the Krell one. The Krell one was pretty dark, but this one, like the ending and everything, when you know the Separatists just like absolutely, you know, kill the king, and
Yeah.
it's all just like they're all just pawns. You know, they're all just pawns in Palpatine's game, dude. And that was like that was a sobering moment, I think.
I agree. Yeah, that's like seeing it trickle down, I guess, to these arcs, which kind of are like mini movies, I guess, in this prequel era.
Oh, they're totally mini movies, dude. And like specifically this one, like the whole entire arc was just negated in like the last 2 minutes of the last episode. Like none of it had to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just it like I said, it's sobering.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, and just continues again to do what the show does best, which is flesh out this trilogy of films that had interesting ideas, poor execution, but this show is killing it on both fronts.
It really is. It's so good.
So it is. One would say it's acclaimed.
It is the acclaimed series.
The acclaimed Star Wars Clone Wars. But I feel like that is very like I feel like this discussion has really encapsulated a lot of what I love about the entire show.
Right.
And because we're kind of gearing up to finish the Clone Wars, because we just have like a handful of episodes left in 5 and season 6, and then we're caught up for season 7.
Yeah, 8, 12, 15.
Yeah. And then we see the finale of it all, and then that is going to be an interesting comparison and just ends cap to this weird supplemental almost fourth prequel to this the legacy of Star Wars. But it's definitely been
then we start watching Rebels. That's what happens.
Yes, then we start watching Rebels. So But any final thoughts on any of the arcs we watched? Any final shout outs you want to make?
Yeah, I do actually. I really like the Jedi Padawan arc, to be honest.
Yeah, that was good.
It's cool seeing Ilum, and the trials that Yoda makes him go through are the same in Fallen Order.
Yeah, that's a nice connection there.
It's a pretty cool connection. Also, Ilum is Starkiller Base. That planet doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Wow. Sorry.
I just thought it was always called Starkiller Base.
Yep.
That I think is going to do it for episode 25 of Jedi Knights. We're back in action like the Looney Tunes. And,
the quarantine cast.
The quarantine cast, yes. Episodes will most likely continue to be coming out on Wednesdays. This one is being recorded on a Wednesday, so it might come out on a different day. But we're going to be back Wednesdays, new episodes on podcast services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, youtube.com/JoeyClicks if you want to see myself in this attic and Mike in a galaxy far, far away.
Not so far away. It's the same state.
Yeah, same state. Mike, if there's anything you would like to plug, feel free to do so.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Chris N. Buckley. And like I mentioned before, you can find this show on many different places. And the YouTube, where there is lots of other content being uploaded at a steady pace. Especially
Absolutely.
now that everybody's working from home and having some time off. So, Mike, I'm overjoyed to be talking about Star Wars with you again.
I can't wait to talk more about Star Wars next week, Christian.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back into it because
it's about time.
Gonna go back. Yeah, it is about time. Do we want to go back to the standard 6-episode?
Yeah, we can go back to that. Why not?
Watch for next week because I can't watch 20 episodes in 1 week.
No, I can't watch 20 episodes in 1 week either. I have a feeling though, like tonight, I'm just gonna watch like the rest of season 5.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
I mean, like, so it won't be 6; it would be 8 because each of these arcs are 4.
Oh, correct. Yes, my mistake. So 8 episodes. Finish off season 5. That's the homework for next episode.
Yeah.
And sounds like a plan. But until then, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
General Kenobi!